And F5. Beautiful. We got hotkeys now. What's going on, guys? We got news. Surprisingly, when I pulled up the news today, nothing looked too amazing, but I don't know. Yeah, Iran, Cuba is pretty crazy. How it's all blacked out. Hassan Piker seems to think it's okay, though. But let's get into the Hill.
Good morning and welcome to Rising. It's Monday morning and we got a great show for you today. I'm delighted to be joined by Niall Stanage, who was sprung on me.
Wait, hold on. Got to make sure my mic's working. There's something I did not do. Okay, we are clear. Beautiful.
At the last minute. I didn't know you'd be here.
Here I am, in full effect.
Is Lindsay stuck with travel-related problems?
She's traveling somewhere. I don't know if she is stuck somewhere or not, but I believe she will be back tomorrow. But I have the pleasures of your company for one day.
She's probably still in line at TSA.
Probably so.
An issue we will be discussing in greater detail later on the show.
For sure. Coming up on Rising, we will also discuss President Donald Trump's reaction to the death of former FBI Director Robert Mueller.
We'll also get into the Trump administration's plans to, as I alluded to, send ICE agents into airports today.
But first, without further ado, Robbie, what is on your radar?
Well, conservative commentator Mike Cernovich has...
1 minute. Just going to grab one of these tabs.
Proposed his ideal GOP ticket for 2028, Tucker Carlson and Joe Kent. Carlson, most people know, is one of the biggest conservative commentators there is. Kent, former...
So if this is... At first I thought it was a joke, but this seems to be real. I don't know. I think a lot of people would go for it because a lot of people are ducking out of the Trump administration. So I could see this being an actual reality coming up. But also there's DeSantis. You can't forget about J.D. Vance either, so... What a fracture.
head of counterterrorism is a newer name for most. He resigned from the administration because he opposes the war with Iran. He thinks there was no intelligence suggesting Iran was capable of striking the U.S., and he believes that Israel is dragging the U.S. into conflict. Here was Ken over the weekend, explaining why he decided to speak up.
We're at a critical juncture in the war in Iran. We need to let our leaders hear that we do not support this war. We do not think there's a vital national security interest. We want to bring our troops home. We want to work towards peace in that region. We do not want 20 plus more years of bloodletting. And then as we head into this next election cycle, demand from everyone, from every political party, go to them, go to your representatives and say, I will not vote for you if you are going to vote for the continuation of these wars overseas.
Cernovich writes on X, a Tucker Carlson Joe Kent ticket would steamroll anything Democrats or Republicans could bring. It's laughable when people try to argue this with me. Spend some time offline. Good-looking, physically fit white men are back in. Candace.
What about Newsom, though? Everybody knows what Newsom is now. I swear, like, I've even heard the left talking shit about Newsom, so I don't know. Yikes.
Owens replied, unbeatable ticket.
I don't know if it's unbeatable. Because, yeah, it ebbs and flows, and you would think it would actually end up back over on the left here soon, but I guess we'll see. This might be a strong enough ticket to actually win it.
Meanwhile, mainstream conservative media is busy denouncing Kent as some kind of traitor or even a secret white nationalist for daring to speak up against this war. Mainstream Republicans have convinced themselves that it's wildly popular. Everybody's for it. They'll cite, for instance, mainstream polling showing that MAGA has Trump's back no matter what. Here, for instance, was Harry Enton.
Just take a look here. MAGA GOP view of Trump. Approve 100%. 100%. If you are a member of MAGA and the GOP, you approve.
I love that face he's got. Yeah. Oh, Trump, what a clown.
Approve of Donald John Trump. 0% say that they disapprove. You don't have to be a mathematical genius to know you can't go higher than 100%.
Okay, look. It is true that Trump supporters trust him and back him and that they want the intervention in Iran to succeed. I'm against intervention, but look, I want it to succeed. I want the mass executions of dissenters in Iran to end. I want tyrannical, authoritarian, extremist Islam to die off as a model of governance in the Middle East or anywhere else. I want America's enemies to surrender or perish. We are all hoping for the best. It's one thing to support Trump and stand with him as he confronts Iran. It's another to express concerns about this turning into another forever war, something Vice President J.D. Vance is keenly aware will be a liability for the next GOP presidential candidate. Because it's not going to be Trump. He's not running for re-election again. Just because the voters trust Trump to get the job done in the Middle East.
I love that they were really egging on the fact that he was going to run again. But it's just like, when we're really being serious about things, it's like, is he... A lot of us would be like, no. No. Some of them, I know some of his supporters would be like, no, yeah, let's get him in. And I know a lot of people would be like, well, it is better than the alternative. But even then, it's just, I think we would all step in and be like, no, it's not right. So let's be adults about this. And even he knows, like, I think he was just joking about the entire thing.
Does not mean they will continue to have broad enthusiasm for the idea of regime change and long-term involvement under the auspices of a Vance or Rubio administration. That's my thinking. But supporters of regime change and interventions just refuse to hear that. They just continue not engaging with the substance of what Tucker Carlson and Joe Kent are saying. Here, for instance, was Lindsey Graham talking to Bill O'Reilly.
The head of counterterrorism says it wasn't imminent. Well, he's got the same info you have.
No, he doesn't. He's lying.
Why? Why would he lie?
Well, why did he say the Jews drug us into it? Why?
Because he doesn't like Israel having influence.
Yeah, well, no, he's saying, if the Jews weren't around, we'd all be safe. This letter of resignation was full of misinformation.
Isn't he the slimiest dude you've ever seen? I know Bolton was a war hawk too, but it's almost like he seems worse. It's hard to say. Like, we would have to go over their track record, I guess.
And anti-Semitism.
Odious. Note Graham's sleight of hand there. He says Kent is lying about the intelligence, and when Bill asks him why he would do that, Graham says it's because he hates the Jews. Kent obviously does not hate the Jews. He disagrees with the government of Israel. The Jewish people in Israel, particularly the Netanyahu administration, are not synonymous. In fact, you can support and love Israel without co-signing what Netanyahu's doing. Graham has no evidence whatsoever to establish that Joe Kent hates the Jews. Kent said the government of Israel, not the Jews, have misled the Trump administration. Jews as a term does not appear in his letter. Then Graham has the audacity to accuse others of spreading misinformation. Everything he just said was misinformation.
Yeah.
So bottom line, well, I don't expect Tucker Carlson and Joe Kent to necessarily even run for president. I'm warning you, neocons, you are writing off serious skepticism of the war. You're pretending it doesn't exist. You're pretending it's just all anti-Semitism. That's not true. It's not going to work. And when the time comes for the American people to actually vote on a candidate, a post-Trump candidate, mind you, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. We'll get to new...
Yeah, I don't even understand why Lindsey Graham's still around. Why, like... I thought Trump was going to come around on a second term and actually, like, clean out a lot of the bad voices around him, and somehow Lindsey Graham is still there. Yep, incompetence or malice, it's either one of the two every single time.
News a little bit later, President Trump declaring that there will not be strikes on oil fields in Iran while the negotiations ensue, which I think is a good news that will mitigate some of this concern, this skepticism you're hearing from aspects of the MAGA base. And I really don't appreciate that concern being totally ignored by a certain kind of mainstream conservative commentator. I think that's very wishful thinking on their part. We can be holding our breath. We can be supporting Trump and wanting this to work out. I admit I have mixed feelings to some degree about the likelihood of success of this going on. To say that everyone is just in there can be no downsides and there's no concerns and they can do whatever they want, the neocons, what Lindsey Graham wants, and they'll suffer no electoral consequences because every single Trump voter is with them no matter what. That seems ridiculous to me.
I agree with you that it seems ridiculous, and it's interesting to me watching these debates on the right. Lindsey Graham getting a lot of criticism from people who are themselves conservative, just conservative of a different hue to Lindsey Graham. I mean, he is someone who has been not only very emphatic about this war, but has kind of boasted of his capacity to go to Israel to talk to the Israeli intelligence services. There was a Wall Street Journal story talking about the fact that Graham had apparently coached Benjamin Netanyahu as to how to persuade Trump to go to war. So, I mean, obviously there are enormous questions about that. Obviously there are enormous questions about intervention generally. I have always said, whether it's from a left or right perspective, of course anti-Semitism exists. Of course it is as gross as any other form of prejudice.
Just testing something. I'm like trying something and making sure it's not bogging down the stream, and it doesn't seem to be so far. So we'll check it out.
That
Little troubleshooting, that's all.
Isn't the same as saying all criticism of Israel or of this war is anti-Semitic. It obviously isn't.
Right. There's rising anti-Semitism. I'm very concerned about it. There are people, right and left, openly saying things about using the term "the Jews out to get us." That's contemptible. That does not appear anywhere in the letter that Joe Kent wrote. And even Tucker, who is often portrayed as one of these characters, I increasingly disagree with aspects of his foreign policy. He had on that Professor Jang. Do you know this character?
I don't know who that is.
This utter charlatan.
Oh no.
Who it says just nonsense, and maybe it's because he's speaking poor English that people think it's very persuasive or impressive.
He's an oracle
for some reason. I don't know. And he's interviewing him about how it would be better if China becomes the dominant world superpower, which I do not agree with. Yeah. It is not the case. That is not America first to me. But again,
and Tucker just rolled with that. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. I haven't watched a Tucker episode in quite a while.
You say it's anti-Semitism, then I want to see prejudice against the Jew. I don't want to see it, but I'll call it out if it's prejudice against a race. If it's just criticism of a government, that's something totally different, and we should not pretend those two are similar, and we should not pretend, because it's the same way. I remember this playbook with Iraq, where there was a whole contingent of establishment conservative commentators who would say that you're disloyal, you're not part of the coalition if you're against this.
You hate the troops. That I remember that being the narrative.
And what turned out is that those people, I think, were discredited, although they've remained a part of the coalition, the people who tried to shame dissenters out of the conservative movement.
Yes, and dissenters were vindicated even though they were in a lonely position at the time.
Yes. Next up, President Trump's being condemned by some for his reaction to Robert Mueller's death. What he posted to Truth Social coming up. We'll be right back.
Support the poops. Oh yeah, this is like one of the few that I was interested in. Yeah, we got others, but yeah, AOC bashes Kalshi for not doing enough to curb the insider trading. We'll get to that one here in a minute. But yeah, the one I was looking at was Joe Rogan blasts Gavin Newsom for mocking Nick Shirley. I was like, I think that was in the Mark Norman thing, and I didn't get to finish that, so I need to go back and watch that.
Rogan had some harsh words for California Governor Gavin Newsom after Newsom took aim at conservative YouTuber Nick Shirley over the weekend.
Shirley is perhaps best known for the viral video last December that alleged widespread fraud at Somali-run child care centers in Minnesota, but he didn't stop there. The YouTuber went on to post another 40-minute-long video alleging $170 million in suspected fraud in California's hospice and child care centers, and in Shirley's signature style of expose. It included off-the-cuff interviews and also confrontations with who are supposedly the people behind the alleged fraud. Here's a taste.
This is the sound of hospice money. Could you just answer the question, what's the need for 1,000%?
Story was he was like asking that guy questions in the parking lot, and he was just kind of just trying to leave, and he has a very nice car and he works there, but he's like, I don't have any answers. And he finally just got pissed and started revving his engine at Nick Shirley. And, well, Nick's going to take advantage of that shot.
Increase in hospice care here inside of LA. Do you have the paperwork to enroll a little boy by the name of Joey?
You don't know what's going on. That video caught the eye of...
I love that face she makes. You couldn't have done any better than that one.
Governor Newsom, whose press office trolled Shirley on X with this AI-generated photo of him with dark eyes covered in cameras and peering through a daycare door. And that didn't sit well.
Like, and it's so disingenuous too, because it's like, clearly it's not about that. It's not about that at all. It's just like, obviously it's like, oh, it's a daycare center. You would think that there's kids here. So what's going on? And they're just trying to make it look like, oh, he's just after, like, he's just trying to find kids. It's just like, not God. That's why you can't have an honest conversation with these people. It's because it's like they're not trying to. They obviously know something's up, and they just don't want to admit it.
With Joe Rogan, who ripped into the governor on his latest podcast episode with comedian Mark Norman.
Like, hey, he's doing your job.
Yeah.
He's uncovering fraud, and what you're doing is mocking him?
Right. You should go, oh, this fraud?
Yeah.
I'm the governor.
And that's what I was trying to say last summer in Portland when all the riots were going on. Was that ICE? Yeah, I think that was the ICE facility. All the riots were going on, and the best on the ground reporting I've ever seen in my life was Nick Shirley. And I was like, who is this kid? And it was a little bit before he was known, so it was kind of like, when I came across it, I was just like, wow, he's really good at this job. And I just kept following him because he had live streams. They're unedited. And he was just showing you, hey, this is what's going on. Antifa's on this side. ICE is coming out of this building right now. Let's see what happens. And he's just front row center. And he's just, yeah, I got a front row seat to it. And he's just showing you. He's not trying to agitate. He's just showing you what's going on. And then everybody is trying to paint him as like some sort of white supremacist or something. So if you really follow the streams, it's really good work. I remember hearing about that type of thing from when I was a little kid. It's just like, yeah, you hear about those like on the ground reporters that just get the job done. It's like, and then as you got into like 2010s and stuff like that, that wasn't a thing anymore. Even 2000s, it wasn't really a thing anymore. At least from what I know. I don't know. Like if it was, there wasn't anybody that was famous about it. And then Nick Shirley comes along and yeah, does a bang up job, and he's just doing their job. And that's what Joe is saying. And I appreciate that people are recognizing this, because that was the thing that pissed me off the most, is watching the media, just what they are. When I finally when I came out of being like just buying all the bullshit and actually grew up and realized that they are just bullshitting everybody, you're just like, oh, okay. Yeah. And then you develop a hatred for them, excuse me, because if that's their sole purpose is to disinform you, then what the hell are we doing? Why are they even on TV? Like, why are we allowing this to happen? And you could convince the left with this too. You could just say, why is Fox News there? And it's just like, they would be like, yeah, let's get rid of them. It's like, I just think there needs to be some sort of strike system or something. Just be like, if you're just there for propaganda, then you need to go, because we all can see it. We just need to band together and be like, hey, this one needs to go.
They should
and then again, I say that, but legacy media outlets, they're all kind of just burning themselves out already. So it's like, we don't even need to take force on that. I think enough people see it to where they just don't tune in anymore.
Just open up the investigations into all these places immediately if you cared, but all they want to do is just obfuscate, cover it up, make it look silly.
Yeah.
Make it look like he's something, whatever he is, white supremacist,
Right.
Nazi, whatever, MAGA. Come up with a name.
You know, I like Joe Rogan, but Newsom did respond to this fraud. He's actually been on record.
Fun of Nick Shirley.
No, prior to this, right after it was happening, and he's gone on record saying, yes, I was aware of that there was fraud happening, and I immediately put bills and legislation forward in order to stop this and curb this. Unlike in Minnesota, we can't say that was the case, because we know that we looked at Governor Walz and we said, why didn't do anything? And then in December of last year, he decided to finally do something. You can't have that case against Newsom. And so here, if he's making fun of Nick Shirley, perhaps he's making fun of the fact that Nick Shirley's fact checking and information gathering is not up to par. Perhaps he's not making sure that he combs through all the records in detail as an actual journalist would need to do to make sure before you provide the information to your millions of audience that you make sure you have everything in line to tell the story. So maybe Newsom should not be making a mockery out of this man who's just trying to go undercover. But I mean, at the end of the day, what does he become, like the world's best investigative reporter all of a sudden? We're saying that he has all the facts.
Apparently.
And you guys have vetted this YouTuber? Is that what?
That's the thing, though. Apparently he is. If CNN, Fox, whoever you want to put on the list, if all of these legacy media outlets can't get the job done, then you're going to have a kid like this come out of just nothing and just be like, yeah, I'll get the job done. Yeah, I'll do it type thing. And good for him. That's what blows me away. It's like, I don't understand how you can give this kid flack. If he's doing a bad job, then sure. But I don't think he is. Tim Walz had to step down. That sounds like he's doing a pretty good job to me. Right?
What the new consensus is, because the last time everyone said, of course, it's not vetted yet. For the most part, it just looked a little crazy, and it's worth news organizations digging further into to find out what's true and what's not true.
Well, they've been doing that in Minnesota. There was tons of reporting by the mainstream outlets as well on those specific frauds that he was mentioning. So the facts he brought to bear in that documentary are not in conflict with what the mainstream media has reported about, including the New York Times and also just local media, about widespread fraudulent contracts related to the CARES Act, related to the daycare centers, the medical fraud. I'm sure this is the case in California and red states as well, frankly. So it's not, Nick Shirley didn't, obviously his video made such a big splash for the style of it. Frankly, there are aspects of the style of it that I don't like. And really, there's that other guy in the video, the older gentleman who was checking up, who I come to understand, I think did most of the work for this thing.
Yeah, he did.
Not Nick Shirley. I become...
And don't get me wrong, like, I can understand, like, the optics of it being like, bro, you were rolling by, like, a daycare center, like, weekly to see if there were kids there. That does sound weird. But if there's something suspicious as to, like, if you're taking that route home every day and you're like, man, I've been going by that daycare for years now. I have never seen a single kid. What's up with that? That seems like it makes sense, right? Oh, hey. Oh, hi, Bailey. How are you today? How's work? I don't remember what I was saying. Let's get back into it.
Fairness, a little bit more skeptical of him. I
feel like I still need to turn that down because that just, like, knocked me backwards.
See him.
But thank you for the like, babe. Love you too.
Joe Rogan was making it sound like it was some smear to call him a white national, which obviously I think is a smear, but he did respond to a video that I found to be wildly anti-Semitic that this different documentary guy did on all these Jews moving into some neighborhood that's very like, look at the Jews everywhere. And Nick Shirley responded to it like, wow, good job, or something like that, which...
I think that was Tyler Oliveira. And I thought that was actually the video that got him banned from Patreon. It was the Indian poo one. Oh, that was interesting.
Didn't sit well with me, man. So, I'm not the kid's biggest fan, and he was so whiny in that interview with Andrew Callahan. But I still wouldn't make fun of him for calling out the governor.
And I think at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's not about Nick. It's about his work. Is he right? Is he getting it right? If he's not, then yeah, we can criticize him. If he is, then why are we sitting here just making fun of him? We're missing the point.
Governor should not be in a position to shame someone, calling attention to the failures of governance that have occurred in that state that are driving people from the state of California. That they did you see the what is the Butterfly Bridge?
No, tell me about it.
It's a bridge literally to nowhere. They built it over a highway. It costs $10 gazillion. That's an exact statistic.
Exact number.
And for like butterflies or something, it's like a nature enclosure.
And that was signed off by Governor Newsom?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. They still haven't built that. Remember the high-speed rail they were going to have?
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
Wait, so they haven't built the butterfly thing? Did I hear that right?
$10 gazillion. That's an exact statistic.
Exact number.
And for like butterflies or something, it's like a nature enclosure.
And that was signed off by Governor Newsom?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. They still haven't built that. Remember the high-speed rail they were going to have?
Yeah.
He said he was going to end homelessness, too.
I was waiting for that. I lived in LA when they first suggested it, and that was, what, a decade ago? Yeah, more.
These projects, not good.
So look, I want to agree with the Newsom part. I don't think this is the conversation he needs to jump into, even if he has a record of saying, okay, I'm on top of this. He shouldn't be attacking Nick Shirley. He could find other things to do with his time. His antics sometimes go a little bit far, even though I'm tickled by the taco thing. I'm very tickled by that. Taco, yes. But I'm not going to do it right now.
Taco.
Stop. I'm trying to not lose my train of thought.
I must be missing something.
Okay, Nick Shirley needs to go to Ohio next, a Republican state.
He should.
And he should look.
Yeah, by all means. Actually, this would help his credibility. If you were able to convince the left that this is going on with Republican, like senators, whoever, like, well, the thing though is it's like I would like to see him go to Ohio and do an honest job. The problem is if he comes up with nothing, they're just gonna be like, oh, he's just running cover for Republicans. So that's tough. It has to be going down though. Like it has to be going down everywhere, no matter what the state is. I do believe it is happening in every state. So he might just have to dig deeper, but he could probably find something.
Look at the fraud from COVID there, but I don't think he will, and that's my problem. I don't want a one-sided Nick Shirley acting like there's only fraud happening in a couple states. Stop going to only the blue states.
It's just very, very obvious in those states. That's why he's going there.
Cared as much about fraud as Trump voters did, then they could look into it. It'd be great.
I think. Okay, well, let's get on board. I told you, everyone should. Anybody who committed fraud should be arrested.
Let's go to Ohio and we'll look up fraud. Let's do it. I'm fine. I don't care about calling out Republicans. I'm happy to.
You know that there was a lot of fraud in Republican states and Democratic states right after the pandemic.
This is why
right? Because
and actually, Nick Shirley said that fraud is fraud. So if he keeps saying that, he's constantly saying that. So like he should go to a Republican state and really try to find something.
Relaxed a lot of the policies around
that. Who was like the only person to vote against it.
Okay,
we should not have given out that money.
Well, Nick Shirley, I'd like to see you in Ohio or some other states next. I'd like some fair and balanced reporting on this because fraud is wrong. So let's cover it all. And let's not just try to do a gotcha moment with all the Democratic governors.
Yeah, and Jews moving into your neighborhood.
And stop being that would be considered anti-Semitic. That would, and so Joe Rogan likes to act dumb and blatantly defend folks.
Well, I don't think he's acting.
And I like Joe Rogan. No, Joe Rogan, I can't believe it's not what I voted for. Like this is what you voted for, Joe Rogan. Like he likes to act a little.
What are you
bit
talking
like,
about, Lindsay?
I mean, I know I don't know about that. Trump said very clearly no new wars, and he's upset about that. Very clearly articulated promise, in his view, being broken.
And he's upset about immigration. He's upset about a bunch of things. And Trump really, like you say, on some issues with the no new wars, he completely broke rank. But on immigration, he never said how far or how little he would go forward.
This is why I don't vote for the major political parties' candidates generally. I don't have to be disappointed with my vote. I didn't vote.
He's all smug because he's a libertarian. Oh, yeah. Well, my party never wins, so I don't have to worry about it.
Vote for this, and I didn't vote for the other thing. And
even though the poll shows that the other thing, which would be Kamala Harris, was going to be a much better president, people regret their vote.
I do not agree.
People
with that
say
no.
People say what poll did we talk about recently?
Well,
people say a lot of things.
I said okay.
That one's ridiculous.
People might agree. I don't know if people say that.
They regret their vote.
I don't think I'm not.
Some people regret their vote, but I don't know. Most people don't, I don't think.
Sitting here wishing Kamala Harris was president. Absolutely not.
Well, we might not be. We might not be at war. That would be one thing. We might not be at war.
Exact same thing.
Well, no, that argument doesn't work because if Netanyahu pulls all the strings, then he would have goaded her into it as well, right?
Oh, right, because.
But then you could also say that, well, it didn't happen with Obama or Biden or Bush. So I guess Bush had his hands full.
Kamala Harris.
But so did Obama. Like, if we want to talk about all the nations we got into with that one.
Seemed very inclined to rein in Israel's actions in the Middle East.
And that's what we keep talking about is like, trust me, this is a big war, but like a lot of the wars were happening quietly. They're happening quietly under Obama. Like we just didn't hear about him. It's like the droner in chief, they called him.
I just said we might not be at war. We might not be at war. That's all I said.
I think we would have sent 800 gazillion more dollars to Ukraine, and the same thing would be going on in the Middle East. I don't know if the Iran thing would have happened, but it very well could have.
All right.
That would you think she was like some committed anti?
I didn't know. I don't say. I'm just saying people. I'm basing my statement off of the polls that showed that some people say they regretted their decision and should have went for Kamala. And so, looking at those polls that we discussed in a past segment, people could find on YouTube.
I don't regret my non-vote for Kamala.
You know, some people say that they didn't vote for this, and Joe Rogan will be one of those people. Although I think Joe Rogan is a very smart man, and so when he complains about things like immigration and other things that the president is doing outside of going to war in so many different places or attacking all these other nations, his argument kind of falls on some deaf ears. We have a lot.
She's not necessarily wrong, because it's like, yeah, a lot of us just don't want to go to war. So it's like a lot of people probably do regret voting for him. I don't know if I'm to that point, but this is messy, and I would like to see it resolved. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, Iran. I don't even want to look most days. Just like, I'll just catch up with it later, just because I'm afraid to look. AOC bashes Kalshi for not doing enough to curb insider trading. I could buy that. She doesn't really have the reputation for insider trading. That was mostly Pelosi.
Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez blasted prediction market platform Kalshi on Monday by saying they weren't doing enough to curb insider trading. Axios reported that Kalshi was planning on preemptively blocking athletes, coaches, and officials from betting on their sports and political candidates from doing the same from their campaigns. While Kalshi's rules already ban trades from the above-mentioned people, the new move would install a mechanism that would prevent them from placing a trade in the first place. In response to the new...
Wait, so they have done it with athletes, but they haven't done it with politicians? Prediction market, Kalshi plans to block athletes, coaches, and officials from betting on their sports as to block political candidates. Okay, so they haven't really moved forward with it yet. I was wondering, I was like, wait, so you guys already started it with athletes and stuff, but you haven't even thought about politicians? They definitely go hand in hand, because I do know, sports betting is getting stupid. You just watch, because I watch a lot of NFL, and you watch a lot of games, you're like, what happened there? A lot of shenanigans.
Placing a trade in the first place. In response to the news, Cortez wrote on X, quote, "This is absolutely not enough. Just on the policy piece alone, there are so many individuals, staff, advisors, consultants, cabinet secretaries, spouses, and more that can trade on insider information. This is just a fig leaf to deflect from criticism. We need to do more."
Kalshi's founder, Tarek Mansour, however, responded to
It's one of the few times I actually agree with her.
AOC's criticism. The headline on Axios' X post didn't mention the preemptive measures Kalshi was taking when it came to insider trading, only that the company was blocking athletes and politicians from trading. Mansour wrote, "The headline is not quite accurate. Like traditional markets, Kalshi already bans, monitors, and enforces against all the groups you mentioned. Today's release adds pre-tape screens to block people from participating at all. Even the stock market doesn't do this yet." Senators Adam Schiff and John Curtis introduced legislation on Monday that would ban prediction markets from offering sports-related contracts.
Polymarket, another sports betting platform, also announced new rules banning trading on illegal tips and trading by those who can influence an event's outcome.
Okay, I don't...
Ban it? You know?
Well, it's their platform, and they should be able to decide the rules for who uses it, and if they think athletes shouldn't use it because the people are betting on what the athletes do, that makes sense to me. And if they decide that they want to let the athletes ban and it's unfair, then people shouldn't use it because it's unfair, and I don't think it should be regulated one way or the other.
It is screwing everything up, and obviously with politics, but with sports for sure, it's screwing up a lot of stuff.
It's your money, and it's their platform, and I don't see why the government gets to come between that.
Well, I think there's certain states where, sports betting is not allowed. And so when you have the government being involved.
I think it should be allowed.
Right. But there's already states that exist like that. So if the government is already involved, and this is just sports betting with a different name, we're pretending like it's not the same exact thing to bet on these markets. I mean.
Sure, but why shouldn't it be allowed, I guess?
I'm not a senator. I'm not a congressperson. I'm not a leader, a mayor, a governor in a state. They make rules deciding how their state should be run. You and understanding the conservative. Let's start from philosophical conservative.
There is situations into which, like, sports betting can have third party profits type thing. So like for example, you take like a player and his cousin is going all in on the sports bet with something that has to do with his team. Um, he can then, say it's millions of dollars, and he can then sway it for his cousin. So that's the third party aspect of it. I never really thought of that until somebody mentioned that to me, and I was like, yeah, that's a really good point. Hadn't really, considered the nitty gritty of like how much sports betting can really mess things up.
Party principles.
It's not that I'm saying ban it. I don't know. I'm not sure what to do with this at this point, because it is becoming a problem.
States should govern themselves. Some states believe sports betting should not be legal, right? In their states. So that's it. Some states believe that. If we allow states to be autonomous and go by the founding principles of the Conservative Party, which is a lot of autonomy, what's the problem?
The problem is, I don't think it's the state's responsibility for me to mitigate alleged harms to myself. So I don't see why it's their business. If I want to bet you that I can throw this pen across the room and whatever, and I do it and I lose money, what business of the government's is that? I just don't fundamentally understand it at all. We need government for rules to mitigate the harms that I might cause a third party, you or something. There's rules against me hitting you or running you over drunk in my car or something. Polluting in a way that affects your piece of property. Third party harms, tragedy, harms to the commons, that kind of thing. But this is a case where I consent to do something, the platform consents to do something, we make an exchange. I just don't get it. I don't get why.
Well, the point that AOC is raising, why it's her problem.
Lives.
Well, if you say so, but the point that she's raising is that people can treat this like insider trading. So if you just ban the athletes, that's fine. But like she said, they have spouses, partners, they have friends, they have business.
How is Lindsay? She's been more right this week than Robbie somehow. It is early in the week, but so far I'm starting to get a little scared. What's going on?
Managers that all know, like, let's say you throw a game. Wasn't there this big scandal in the NBA recently about just this topic? So we need to be mindful that everyone's not going to just operate on the up and up and not do any type of insider information sharing. And that would lead to illegal, similar style sports betting. And so AOC's like, let's put some regulations around this so that we're not having this happen, especially when it comes down to elections and other things that there's arguments about whether we should be betting on these things anyway.
It's just but it's no business of the government whether that you do it or not. I don't get it at all. If I knew some, betting system was letting the athletes themselves bet too, and I go like, oh, well, this could be rigged, I'm just not going to bet in this one. So anticipating that, the platform will set rules to prohibit that. The government doesn't need to be involved in it at all. It's just, it has nothing to do. It's not me harming someone else. It's me.
Is he making the argument that like the sports betting is whatever? It's more that it affects the game. Like you watch the game and it just seems fake now because there's just flags every friggin' play. And then most of the flags don't even make sense. And there's a lot of missed calls. And it's like, you wonder how much the officials have the sway over the game. It's like, it really seems like you're wanting one team to win. So it's hard to watch, because even if it is entertainment at this point, it's like, it's such rigged entertainment that it's not entertainment anymore. It's ruining it for any real football fan. And even with the football fans who believe that it's rigged, because I'm kind of to that point. I couldn't tell you how much it's rigged or to what level. I don't think it goes down to the players. It could. I don't think it does. I know people who do think that it is. In this case, I guess you could say there's incentive. But as far as the officials, I'm like, I can't tell with them. They're just, sometimes they see shit from across the field that's like a hawk couldn't see that. And then there's shit right in front of your face, and then they even go over the tape, and it's like, nope, don't know what you're talking about. It's like, oh, okay. And that's what makes it not watchable. It's like we don't want to watch shit. That's all it is at this point, is shit.
Getting tricked into no.
And I hear basketball is really declining too. I don't watch basketball anymore, so I couldn't tell you. But Yeah, I hear a lot of complaints coming out of the basketball community.
I consented to give up my money to
I mean,
this
why
thing.
is the government involved with insider trading? Why is that a big deal? The same reason that's explained.
Bingo.
You don't want them to be involved with insider
The
trading?
exact same thing.
Oh, dude, that's crazy. They have to be involved. People cannot just be doing this and leaving the American public to just sit there and look stupid as people just know what's happening within our government or making moves
We
because
should
of that.
ban members of Congress from doing insider trading because they have knowledge of how the rules are going to be set because they do the regulating. Everyone else, I don't see why it should matter at all.
All right, in my lens next, I'm going to talk about President.
That's a unique argument, actually. I'd have to think about that. At first, I was like, wait, what? Huh. Well, Robbie's got me with a thinker today. Hopefully not a stinker. What do we got next? Let's do this one first. Pritzker. It's just like the shenanigans coming out of there.
President
Chris Van Hollen accuses Trump of lying about negotiations with Iran.
Trump says the U.S. has had discussions with Iran, but he has not personally spoken with Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei.
Trump told reporters that top envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner had productive talks, but declined to say who in Iran they were talking to. Iranian state media, however, has denied any talks being held between the two sides, and the Speaker of Iran's parliament echoed that claim on X, writing, quote, "No negotiations have been held with the U.S., and fake news is used to manipulate the financial and oil markets and escape the quagmire in which the U.S. and Israel are trapped."
And again, we're back to one of those situations where everybody's pointing the finger and everybody seems like they're lying. And I don't know. They could be telling the truth, or they're just trying to make Trump look bad. I don't know. Who knows at this point? And we get the whole Joe Kent situation, which we'll get into in a little while, and that's another one. It's like, man, the fracture. And Trump's, so much of his administration has looked good, and then we're to here where it does seem, I don't know what's real, but it does seem like Israel got us into this.
Lawmakers here in the U.S. are also skeptical of Trump's claims. Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen told CNN on Monday he thinks Trump is lying and that Trump's threats to target the Iranian power grid are a violation of international law.
On Saturday, Trump said the U.S. would, quote, obliterate Iran's power plants if they did not reopen the Strait of Hormuz within the next 48 hours. But then on Monday, he extended the deadline by 5 days, citing, quote, very good and productive conversations. Trump told reporters Monday that the Strait of Hormuz will be open again soon and that he and the Ayatollah could maybe be the ones controlling the strait together. Take a look.
That'll be opened very soon if this works.
How soon? And who's in control of it? Will Iran still be able to control the flow of oil?
Be jointly controlled.
By who?
Maybe me.
You want the United States to be in
Me
control?
and the Ayatollah, whoever the Ayatollah is, whoever the next Ayatollah. Look.
And with that, is that a joke? Or is that just yeah, that's about to happen type thing?
Also be a form of a very serious form of a regime change.
Trump also had harsh words for Joe Kent, the counterterrorism official who resigned over objections to the war in Iran. Trump criticized Kent's failed attempts at winning a congressional seat in the state of Washington and also brought up Kent getting remarried after his wife was killed.
He came and his wife was killed. He remarried fairly quickly. His wife was killed, and I felt badly for him. He ran for Congress, he lost. He ran for Congress again, and he lost. He gave him a job in the White House, and this is what he does to me. Being a nice guy doesn't pay off too much.
Former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene blasted Trump's comments on X, writing, quote, "It was over 4 years after Joe Kent tragically lost his wife after she was killed by a suicide bomber that he got remarried. No one should..."
Yeah, Trump's been popping off lately where it's like, dude, bro, what the fuck?
Criticize Joe Kent for getting remarried, especially President Trump. Especially somebody who's been married multiple times. That's out of line.
That was a really
and crazy.
That was pretty
a weird
fucked up.
comment. It was not a fast remarriage, and also
not at all.
So what? Even if it was, it's just totally beside the point. Very weird. I don't know what Trump thinks he's getting out of it. He's made that criticism of Thomas
somebody,
Massey as
yeah,
well.
it was
whose
Massey.
wife,
Yeah, I was
died
gonna say.
suddenly, and then he met.
I was trying to remember who the other person. I was like, I swear to God, this is a repeat. I was like, he did this with somebody else too, but yeah, that was Massey that he did that with.
someone and got remarried and quicker than Joe Kent, but who cares? Good for him. People should be happy.
It almost feels like the president, even when he's in these gaggles, is almost just saying anything, like saying,
Kind
"Oh,
of.
me and the Ayatollah, we might own the strait together."
Well,
Like, what is
yeah.
real?
And so,
Yeah.
I want to believe that there is negotiations going on, but like
Based on what?
Well, my point being, he just in that same spiel, he says something about Joe Kent that is just false, directly false. That Joe Kent got married too quickly or remarried too quickly, which is just not true. So that doesn't inspire a lot of confidence that the rest of the things he said in that conversation are true. But negotiations over joint control of the Strait of Hormuz would be great. I don't think we should hit their energy fields, not because it's a violation of international law, which I don't care about at all and should not constrain us in the least bit, but because that would cause a massive spike in global oil prices.
It was a strike, bro.
And that
was
would
a
not be
strike.
good.
I saw a write-up in the Washington Post that said that basically Israel had a plan for this war, that they thought that taking out the original supreme leader was going to cause an uprising in Iran, and that it was a sort of
If they really thought
miscalculation.
that, that's not inspiring much confidence, because me and you and literally every person on earth could have told them and Lindsey Graham that that's not going to happen, that there's going to need to be a massive ground occupation in order to install a new regime.
Well, we saw the confidence in the beginning coming from the administration saying this was going to be a quick war. This was going to be something that we wouldn't spend a lot of time.
Well, it might be, right, it might be
Changed to
quick,
being-
but it's not going to regime change.
Well, I think that changed because the outcome wasn't what was anticipated, or maybe it was anticipated and they didn't expect Iran to go this far. And so now we're days into, almost a month into a war, and the president is causing confusion with constantly understanding, and these articles coming out about what the goals are. Like, was it regime change?
Well,
but
no, it's not. Not from the U.S. perspective.
Well, the point is, so when we're talking about what's happening right now and the next steps, what does that look like to the president? Because he's saying we're going to own the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran's saying we're not talking about that to you in any way. He's saying that he's speaking with a leader, but not the supreme leader. And people are asking, okay, well then who are you speaking with? And he's not giving an answer. And we're just supposed to just believe anything, even though we weren't given.
His name was Muhammad. I don't know. He was over there. He was a nice guy, really nice guy. I'll tell you. Never met anybody like him. Nobody like him.
Any vague details. We weren't given any solid details. He's comparing this situation to Venezuela, saying when the next leader's in charge, kind of like Delcy Rodriguez is in charge in Venezuela, it'll
That
go
wasn't regime
smoothly.
change either.
I know, but Delcy Rodriguez was not regime change, and she's blindly obedient to the former leader, and the military is still attacking its citizens. If we were so concerned about the citizens of Iran, as we said we were, when they were protesting and getting attacked, why would the president want regime change to fall under the same bucket that it currently exists? I mean, there's an entire Iran Revolutionary Guard that'll be in charge if the Ayatollah is dead, as he suggested.
Trump could not make clearer that he doesn't care about that. This is not a neocon regime change fantasy. This is not about the people greeting us as liberators. None of that is
Are you sure? Because Lindsey Graham is licking his chops right now.
happening. Trump is at this point perfectly clear that that is not the goal. The goal is to degrade their military capabilities so that they can attack Israel and to punish the regime for not negotiating with him the way he wanted, to hurt them, and to get someone in charge who's still going to be anti-America on paper and is still going to be a repressive authoritarian leader, but is, like Delcy Rodriguez, going to be getting along somewhat better with Trump personally. That's the point of this. That's the point.
Right, but we're hearing directly from the horse's mouth, which we could only go off of, that they're not negotiating with the president. Every time he says that out loud, they're literally being as
Well,
adamant as he
we don't
is.
know what Iran's going to say. They're not negotiating because they have to save face and we're attacking them.
Yes, but what you understand is that we also need to save face, because a lot of the country doesn't feel like we should be in this war. So the president cannot make it seem like we are just actively having goals that are not being accomplished, right? If it was supposed to be short and now it's not short, that's a problem. It was supposed to be an uprising
Well, it's
immediately.
still short-ish. It's only been...
We're a month in. If we're 24 days or something. If it was supposed to be regime change, and you thought the uprising would happen.
Just here's the thing though: is Iran is a much bigger project than Venezuela. Think about Ukraine. That's been going on for 4 years. 4 years. And I thought that was going to be over immediately, but then NATO stepped in. But yeah, well, let's be fair. I think NATO was probably the one that started the entire thing, but that's neither here nor there. Either way, a month is not that long. I would say 4 to 6 months. If it's done within then, that's still fairly short.
No, but there's a new
Trump has been clear.
There's a new Washington Post report.
I thought he did say it was regime change. Did I mishear that? I could have swore I heard that yesterday, that he was like, well, it's not like what their intended goal was, like when they first started this, but that's just kind of what's happening, because that it's just the result of taking out all the leaders. That's regime change, just plain and simple.
That says that Israel's goal was an uprising.
Oh my God.
Meaning that the government will be overturned there.
Israel is not Trump. Israel's goal. Stop it. Israel's goal is not our goal. I'm telling you what Trump's goal is.
Where this war is protecting Israel, most importantly. They were immediately being attacked, coming from Rubio's mouth, that they were going to respond.
God, I hate to say it, but I actually agree with her again, because it does seem like it's the same goal. Because whatever they want, we just do for them. And it's just, okay, so what are we doing? Well, we're doing whatever they want. What is their goal? Okay, that's their goal. If we're supporting them, then we're supporting that goal. So I actually agree with her right here.
On to an imminent threat. And no one found, we just saw, that Kent quit because there was no imminent threat to the U.S. So it would be Israel's war. What do you not understand?
I'm explaining what Trump's goal is. Israel might have some
Okay,
different goal.
yeah.
And that's fine.
We're an allyship. We're an allyship. We're fighting together. Yes? Can't have different goals.
All I can do is explain what Trump's goal is. Trump's goal.
You know how partnerships work?
Support
you can't just
Israel.
If two people are fighting the same enemy and then you're together.
Sure, let's just let them finish, because it's like, okay, Robbie, like, go ahead and get it out. Trump's goal, we get what you're saying, but yeah, I agree with her here.
As allies, you can't have two different goals. Otherwise, it's really a disarray. And you got to sell people on why we're defending than what Israel's goals are if they're totally different than ours. It doesn't make sense.
Israel can do whatever they want, but what Trump is only involved so far as he gets a negotiation with a leader he's getting along with and the destruction of their military capabilities. And there's no you and detractors at this point are trying to make it sound like it's going to be a permanent occupation and forever war aimed at displacing the regime. And I am reassuring you, you're trying to scare everyone into being worried about that is not happening, and that is not Trump's goal.
I certainly don't want that to happen.
God, I hope that doesn't happen.
I was worried about that at the beginning.
He just asked for $200 billion.
Yeah.
So what do you need that much money for? Why do you need that much money if it's going to be a short war? We shouldn't need $200 billion when it's costing $1 billion a day. So you need 200 more days. Help me out.
Well, they always ask for more money for the Pentagon.
Okay,
it has a bloated.
I'm just letting you know it has to make sense. The actions that he's taking have to align with what the end game is.
Saying I can't see what's going on. He's telling you.
What's the $200 billion for then? If the war is supposed to end shortly.
He says they don't actually need it, but it's always nice for them to have it.
Okay, yes. As somebody who loves spending, right? You love that we're asking for $200 billion. I know you don't love spending. I'm being sarcastic.
I don't want to. I hope they vote against it. They've all indicated they will. They're not going to get that spending.
Okay, so the president is sending confusing mixed messages that he needs more money, but also the war is coming to an end.
Any mixed messages whatsoever. You are sending the mixed messages.
I'm not. I'm listening.
The message is clear. It is about killing people that were not negotiating with President Trump in good faith. He wants better relations with whoever ends up in charge, and we will kill that person until it's someone he gets along with, just like Delcy Rodriguez.
So we're going to kill the whole Iran Revolutionary Guard then, because and leaders have said, we're going to continue to people that align with the former Ayatollah in charge, and then we have the entire military after them if you want to keep killing people. That's what they've actually said.
I think I've been clear. Someone who negotiates better with Trump could be this current Ayatollah, if he's still alive, or the next one.
All right. Prediction markets like Kalshi have been exploding in popularity, but lawmakers are raising concerns about the potential for insider trading. Don't go anywhere.
Hold on, I'm fighting something. He's kind of whipping my ass. I don't have any arrows. You found me at a bad time. All right. What's next? Let's do this one first. I'm just avoiding that one. I don't even know if I'm going to play that one.
All right, Lindsay, what's in your lens today?
Let's get to it. So I flew out of George Bush Intercontinental Airport yesterday. And I'll be honest with you, what's happening in our airports right now does not feel like a small problem or delay. It feels like a system breaking down in real time. The funding crisis tied to the ongoing Department of Homeland Security shutdown has left TSA officers unpaid for weeks, and more than 40% of them are calling out. Frankly, that's not surprising. If you're not getting a paycheck, why would you keep showing up? The result is chaos. Airports across the country are seeing security wait times stretch past 3 hours. In Houston, officials warned it could take more than 4. I took that seriously. I got there at noon for a 4:45 p.m. flight. I got through security at 3:15 p.m. And even with that buffer, it was a mess. Long lines, frustrated travelers, and a sense that no one is really in control. Now, instead of pushing Congress to resolve the funding gap and pay TSA workers, President Donald Trump says it was his idea to send in ICE agents to the airports. These are officers that are trained in immigration enforcement and criminal investigations, not aviation security. They're not screening bags or spotting threats. They're doing crowd control. I saw them standing at exits and entrances. Obviously, that's going to raise some concerns. Now, the American Civil Liberties Union put it plainly, quote, families traveling to see loved ones should not have to deal with ICE agents who likely have no training or experience with the mission of airport security. So what are we doing here? Because this isn't just about long lines anymore. It's about priorities. The administration says it's using, quote, every tool available to help travelers, but not the most obvious one, which would be urging lawmakers to come to the table and fund the agency that's actually keeping airports moving and secure. Now, there are proposals on the table. Democrats are pushing for basic guardrails requiring warrants for immigration enforcement, banning masks so agents can be identified, protecting sensitive places like schools and hospitals. Meanwhile, some Republicans are starting to break ranks, acknowledging the shutdown is dragging on too long and could backfire politically, especially since their party controls the White House and Congress. You can't patch a workforce crisis with people who aren't trained for the job. You can't replace paychecks with politics. And you definitely can't restore confidence in air travel by putting armed agents in spaces where families are already stressed and vulnerable. I saw it firsthand in Houston. This is not sustainable. At some point, this stops being about leverage in Washington and starts being about real people trying to get from point A to point B safely. And right now, our politicians are failing them.
Well, I agree, and I would vote for funding for just TSA to get out of this absolute madness. I would vote for funding for the entire DHS. I would do it either way. This is insane. This is very disruptive to ordinary Americans. It cannot go on. It shouldn't go on. It's an absolute indictment of Republicans and Democrats that they can't get this done. They should do it by any means necessary. Get that funding in place so we can get back to travel as normal. And then long term, I would just get rid of the TSA, which I've now said 1,000 times in the shows for the last couple of days.
Every time you say that, somebody's like, wait, what?
I mean, it's obvious that we should do that.
I just think as the president of the United States, to understand, I'm about to explain that, to understand why the government is shut down right now is to know that both sides of the aisle have distinct differences in argument about the role of ICE and how much it should be funded. And so for the president to take that same agency that's at the heart of the controversy because 2 Americans died this year at the hands of ICE, no matter how you feel about the situation, it's true, which has raised alarm amongst Americans and saying that ICE maybe should patrol the border instead of be in the middle of our cities, is a slap in the face to take that same agency and put them in airports to direct traffic because they're not trained in airport security. Some of these TSA agents go through about 6 weeks of training in order to be prepared for that role. And so to have ICE just directing traffic and having taxpayers who are already going to pay these TSA agents when they come back from getting paid, and we're now paying ICE as well, the American taxpayer is now paying double for when Trump could just push them to solve this.
There are plenty of things at the airport in terms of security that ICE can do with minimal specific training. They have to just
crowd control. They said, and they pointed me which way to go.
They can. There are the exit door. You know, you can't walk back through the exit doors. They need some.
I'm confused. What is their job here? I thought they were going there to just do their job and like catch people at a certain point, you know, a certain travel point. But I didn't realize that they're actually going there to help. Maybe I missed something.
Somebody sitting at that desk to make sure. ICE agent can do that, no problem. It doesn't need special training to do it.
The problem is that 40% of TSA in Houston specifically, where I was, called out of work.
Right, I know. And
so
some
ICE
of
going
the
there
jobs
to direct people through the door doesn't change the fact that we can't make security go faster.
No, it does, because that's one of the things TSA does. So
what?
You can concentrate. The TSA is also the ones watching the exit door things.
Okay, so
so you can have the ones, the 40% that did show up for work can do the bag checking and the core function of the TSA right now, and all those other places where there are gaps, but it doesn't require any specialized training. You can have ICE fill in, and it's perfectly fine.
Most
also
of the
be fine if
TSA
ICE
is working in the TSA area, screening folks to come through those pearly gates to get onto their flight. So I don't know. There's not a lot of security. You've been to airports recently, so have I. TSA was never, even before the shutdown, standing at the doorways, greeting folks, checking. I didn't see a lot of that. I saw a lot of TSA people right by those security area, and 40% of those people have called out of work, is what I'm saying. Not the managerial staff, not the people who look outside. The main people that...
Part of the thing that TSA does is make sure that you can't wander out of checkpoint areas. And that job can be done by ICE for the meantime.
So ICE was there yesterday, and it still took 4 hours for most people.
Well, maybe
3.5 for me.
6 hours
so
without them there.
No, I don't know. I think that maybe the president should try to think about and consider the whole circumstance.
I also think
if Americans
let everyone get on the plane with whatever, and it'd be fine.
But if Americans are concerned about the role of ICE and would like to see them at the border as opposed to in our cities, and that's the sticking point for this exact shutdown, why does the president think it's a good idea to send that same agency?
It just seems weird. Like, why would they go to ICE to like cover shifts for the airport? That seems like such an odd place to look for that sort of support. Like, you don't have any like government workers or anything? You had to like get ICE agents? That's really weird. Or is there like a hidden method there that I'm just not really quite connecting? I guess there could be.
2 airports. How would that make sense to somebody who's trying to quell the fears on both sides of the argument, right? Whether we're going to figure out how to make ICE operate in a way that Americans are comfortable with and get people opening up
at the airport because ICE is there, unless you're maybe in the country illegally.
People saw ICE kill 2 Americans who were here legally, and they don't want to see that happen again. Maybe they're fearful. I mean, the polls have come out to show that people are uncomfortable with the extent to which President Trump
I'm
has
uncomfortable
implemented
with TSA because they feel you up when you go through the security thing, but I still have to fly, don't I?
Well, the president thinks this is a great solution. I think it's a poor choice.
Yeah, the people that that lay hands on you at the airport are the people. It's their job to do that. Unfortunately,
how often do you get laid hands on? Are you always getting
single time?
So you always have to get pat down. What are you bringing? I've got pat down twice.
It happens
in my life.
Every other time. Really?
Yes. Are you nuts?
It's that white privilege, Robbie.
You getting patted down every time?
They pat me down. I don't know if I have a terroristy looking expression.
I feel you're
they do it to
exaggerating.
me every
you get
other
pat down
time.
every time?
No, not every time, but obviously, there was a problem with the thing. We got to do this now, and they grope you in front of everyone. It's
wow.
And you know what? And even if it doesn't happen,
It's happened to me a couple times. Not every time. I would say maybe like 20-30% of the time, if that. Really, it's only happened a few times. I mean, all the times I've gone through the airport, which I guess isn't a ton, but still, yeah, it's about like 20%.
Me, and it just happens to someone else, it bothers me too. They drag Grandma out of her wheelchair so they can do it. It's cruel and ridiculous and completely 100% unnecessary.
I'm so happy to hear that you care about Grandma now.
I care when other people's rights are violated, their personal dignity.
That better have not have been a COVID dig. Like, dear God.
Trampled upon by the government for zero reason. That does stick with me. All right, next up, President Trump is telling Senate...
He's losing his mind. And I'm reaping all the benefits. It's 5 minutes till. Oh, and this thing is 5 minutes. Guess we're getting into it. Then I gotta get some breakfast. I'm hungry.
A couple of potential 2028 Democratic presidential candidates appear to be doing something a bit different, leaning into their childhood traumas. Axios detailed in an article how Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, California Governor Gavin Newsom, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, all recently discussing issues from their past. The outlet writes, their frankness about their formative years and family dynamics as a way to shape their public stories before journalists do. It's also a sign of shifting taboos and a growing desire for candidates to appear relatable to voters.
Now, take Shapiro, for instance. He recently wrote in his book, quote, Where We Keep the Light. Oh, that's what the book is called. The governor writes that his mother, Judy, could be unstable and that if his siblings behaved, they could, quote, stop the chaos and yelling. He writes, quote, It explains why I always sought to solve problems. I had to anticipate a problem or a pain point before there was a blow up.
Newsom, of course, has been in the spotlight recently over his comments about his dyslexia and his inability to read a speech.
I'm a little retarded. You know, I'm like you guys.
His new book, Young Man in a Hurry, he details how his mother tried to console him by saying it's okay to be average, words that he deemed cruel. And Pritzker, in a recent interview with the New York Times, discussed his mother's alcoholism. He told the outlet that his mother, Sue, tried to explain her struggles to him when he was 8 or 9 and promised to get over it, but unfortunately Pritzker said she wasn't able to and eventually took her own life.
Yeesh.
Many
All right.
conservatives reacted
Heart
to
goes
this
out to that.
article in X.
That
Trump
sucks,
advisor
man.
Alex Brusiewicz wrote perhaps they should seek therapy instead of the presidency.
Meanwhile, Democratic Governor Andy Beshear accused Vice President J.D. Vance of overstating his blue-collar roots and misrepresenting his ties to Appalachia. Beshear said at a Democratic fundraiser in Butler County on Sunday, quote, Hillbilly LG had trafficked in tired stereotypes. It is poverty tourism because he ain't from Appalachia.
That's insane.
I couldn't even read it.
That's totally insane. Hillbilly Elegy, whatever you think of J.D. Vance, Hillbilly Elegy is a great book. It's a very insightful look. It's authentic. It's genuine. Yes.
Doing the same thing that Pritzker is doing. Is sharing your experience, your growing, your childhood, everything that you experienced.
He wrote
and how
that book before he was a political candidate.
he had eyes on the prize. I think people who are in politics know they want to get into politics. I wouldn't say that he.
No, that's the case at all.
Okay,
He
I don't
was in
believe it's not.
venture capitalism at the time, and he wrote an insightful book about a slice of America that was poorly understood by elites, and it's a very interesting book. These are shallow attempts by wealthy,
Talking about your mom's alcoholism is shallow.
powerful people. I don't care about they're trying to make them seem relatable that they have problems too.
By sharing their
They're
life stories?
Powerful, wealthy. Pritzker's a billionaire. I don't.
That means he doesn't have feelings? Does money take away feelings?
According to the left, it
When
does.
you're a 9-year-old and your mom's an alcoholic, you're not supposed to feel a way about it because you're wealthy? Is that what you're telling me?
Vance's was some
I'm
calculated
saying if you
effort to
look at
wear
that and
political
that, I'm
this
saying
isn't- are
if you look at that, they're
kidding
the
me?
same thing. So however you feel about J.D. Vance, I'm saying feel about Pritzker.
J.B.
He's sharing
Pritzker
his
is already
story.
governor. Hillbilly Elegy was written, again, just by some guy prior to any political aspirations. These are cynical attempts by people who are current, elected already.
Here's one of that's. This is one of those times I agree with both of them. It's like she is right, but he's also right that it's probably just an attempt by Pritzker to just be like, yeah, what are you guys? You know, I have problems too and stuff. It's like, yeah, it is kind of a shallow attempt, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, well, I mean, that's some serious shit you went through. So it's not like everybody's immune, even billionaires. But again, the left thinks that billionaires don't have souls unless it's their billionaire. You got to remember that. It's got to be their billionaire.
Political figures who want to run for president to make themselves seem just like you. I'm dumb just like you, or I'm disadvantaged just like you. They're all tremendously advantaged and tremendously powerful, and it's actually more insulting to me that they want to seem like ordinary people. Just be like Trump never says, "Oh, I was so oppressed. Oh, it was so difficult." It's like, no, this is what I've done. That's great. Like me
That's
for that.
why Trump lacks some empathy. If we knew something more about him that he actually shared, maybe people would understand why he behaves in the erratic fashion that he does.
Trump has mentioned how alcoholism affected his family, but he doesn't bring it up.
Oh, he didn't bring it up constantly, but he brought it up in one New York Times article. Trump mentioned.
You know how hard a lot of the podcasters had to dig to get that out of Trump? Like, it's something he doesn't really like talking about. You can tell. It's like, he'll talk about it and he'll say, like, yeah, that's why I don't drink. That's why I don't touch the stuff. And it makes sense. It's like, you see that sort of thing. And I know a lot of people who watch their parents go through it, and makes sense. They don't want to touch it. I know several people. So it's like that is a real thing. But yeah, it's not like he goes on and on about it, and he doesn't like bring it up out of the blue, unless she's saying this Time article or something.
Alcoholism, so they're the same thing.
I think the difference is very obvious.
Which is
see what she said.
So he didn't bring it up constantly, but he brought it up in one New York Times article. Trump mentioned alcoholism, so they're the same thing.
I think the difference is very obvious.
Which is that we're talking about one article right now and not mentioning Trump speaking about his own history.
Try to make it sound like he's had a really hard life or he was really disadvantaged. Liberals are doing this to achieve power because this is...
It's the image. It's always the image. It's the virtue signaling, and it's the I am this, I am that, and yeah, it's exactly what he's saying.
It's the only way they understand is their privilege dynamics. They have to pretend that they don't have this privilege, even though that they do.
Two things can be true at once. You can be privileged, and you can also have things that bothered you mentally growing up. I don't see why we have to hear more.
Because I think we're in the era of not necessarily populism, but it's just like all the candidates that are just completely out of touch. We don't want anything to do with them, and I think they're starting to catch on to that, and so that's why you got Newsom coming out being like, yeah, I don't know how to read. I'm just like y'all. I'm just an idiot. I'm just retarded. Just a little retarded, not full retarded, just a little retarded, just like y'all.
About their policy ideas for America, I don't.
But when it was Kamala running, we want to hear more about how she's relatable. Nobody can relate. This is what everybody kept complaining about. Who is she? We don't know her. Well, they're letting you get to know them. So they start there, and then the policies come next. We're not actually in an election year.
All right, that does it for us on Rising Live. Look out for more exclusive YouTube content coming your way today. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the Hills YouTube channel so you never miss any content.
It's like Robbie gets done with these segments. He's just out of breath. Like, I don't even smoke cigarettes, but I need one. I'm trying to start.
And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, we're now available anywhere you listen to podcasts. See you later.
Well, that does it for me for right now. But I'm going to be back on. I just got to get some food in me, probably take a shower. Yeah, food sounds good. All right, guys. See you in a little bit. Oh, I have hotkeys. See if I remember.